Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video. Something a bit different this week. If you've been following, you might recognise these. This is an A1 300 GSM paperwork that I've cut in half this morning. I've been hanging on, I've been thinking, I've been talking to you, saying it's going to make small pieces of work, but as it's been building along in the cabin, I've felt reluctant to cut it. But this morning I decided I'll make two pieces instead of smalls. I'm going to challenge myself to see if I can keep fairly abstracted and find a way forward with these as two pieces. If you're new to the channel, hello and welcome. I do tend to just plough on assuming that everybody knows what happened last week, so apologies for anyone that might drop in and think, what is she talking about? A good example would be last week on the sketchbook covers. I never gave a proper introduction about putting on the gesso before cracking on with the sketchbook covers. These A1 abstract sheets are like bonus material. When I'm working in the cabin or painting anywhere, if I've got an A1 sheet, when I come to the end of my painting and I've got leftover acrylic, or if I'm using watercolour, whatever medium, I clean up and make marks on a separate sheet of paper, and I let that brew, I let that build over the weeks until I get to a point. And if you get this lovely 300 GSM, you'd be amazed at how much paint you can put on there. This all came about how one thing does lead to another. I'm so pleased with green chair in the black frame that I have now got a selection of black frames in other sizes, and I'm thrilled to bits. I'll put the photos in. I've been working on some smaller pieces, absolutely adore these two. I'm enjoying framing up the paperwork and a good chance to talk about not getting rid of old work. I cut up paper to make a book to take to Malta back September I think last year, and it was so hot. We found paints and I just dabbled around with the paints and then decided, if nothing else, because of the heat, I'll just put grounds down on every single piece of paper, which is what I did. And I've used one or two of them, I've worked up one or two of them. I came back, and when things don't have a purpose at the time, I just put it all away, put it away, and I've got quite a heap of work. And I dug some of this out the other day and thought, wow, actually they're really, really good grounds for me to work up. Right, I will get on with thinking about how I can add a little bit more to these this morning. So I've got my mount, and I can just initially place it. I think I want to keep some of this here. I'm going to make a small cut there and about there. I could work that into some smalls. I might leave that top edge. Just to play around with. There's less excitement on this piece than this. So can I take any elements from here, I'm wondering, to put on here? I might put a section of colour, more green. My feeling is more green. So I'm going to go in with some green. So again, I'll just use a piece of damp cloth to mix on the paper. This is nice. Some of these greens work well as a glaze. I like the sky blue, and I'm just wondering what might come if I mix some sky blue with those two greens. So first of all, that's just called a light green. Let's grab a brush. This mint, that's given it a real sort of mintiness. And with the darker green, yeah, just a darker minty coloured green. So if I wanted a tint, I'd add white. I always loved the idea of fence posts. So don't forget, if you get too much, if you get you can always lift it with just a piece of copy paper. Oh, I smudged then. And go in somewhere else. So I did clearly put down just too much paper, too much paint, sorry. Oh, that's nice. Some of that underneath's coming through. I'd like to see more of what's underneath. Oh, that's lovely. I love that. I do like a bit of experimental printing. I'm going to go wild and run the whole lot down. That's lovely. that could be used for collage. Yes, bit of collage material, and I've got paint left over. So, oh, I'm really tempted. I could either strengthen in some areas, I could go down on areas here, or I'm thinking about the very first page in my new sketchbook. Let's just... I like, again, the idea there would be a contrast of something that's lifted with some areas of more solid paint. Every time I film, if you can hear that little crunching sound in the background, it's Rocket eating his biscuits. So if I don't like that, I can just get some water and lift that off quite nicely. That's a nice little start here. I'll leave it on the easel. I don't know what I've done with my other clip, and keep having a little look at it together with that one that I've done nothing to. It takes me to something under the water, the boys in a harbour. I'm somewhere at the coast. I'm somewhere very coastal here. I love the colours. I just love that section. I do like the paints when you use them as a glaze. It's very, very effective. The nice thing about gloss medium is that you can continue to work, and it will save what's underneath, but you can continue to work on top. And I wanted to put a little bit more brightness on the front cover this morning, so that's exactly what I've done. When those squiggles are dry, I'll gloss medium those. I've mixed up here a green. I put down 2 pieces of collage and then decided to try and follow that green of the collage down with some paint. This piece of collage had red backing. I don't know if it's not on that piece. Had some red backing, and I quite like the red that's seeping through. So I might strengthen in a bit of red there. I have mentioned before, but that zippy pouch on the table just has all the really small pieces of collage. I tend to just have really, really small offcuts kept together in that bag. It's quite useful, separate from larger sheets that I might have worked up. So don't get rid of even the smallest scraps that have potential. It's nice. I haven't seen some of these things for a while, and it's really lovely to find all the little bits with fresh eyes. I might also mention here that I had a window of opportunity. This was just 20 or 30 minutes before needing to leave the house, and it's just fantastic what you can do with a little bit of collage and a little bit of paint with a little bit of time. Well, I'm filming in the evening, and I hope it's not too dark. I put in a little bit of extra colour, and I might well put in a little bit more, but we'll see. So I will gloss coat those areas just to protect them. First pages of sketchbook. This is just very simple collage technique. I've just tried to pull down the same colour So I started here and pulled down the violet colour and then added in a bit more collage paint. So it's very, very simple beginnings. And here I've just found this piece and mixed up a pink, which I quite like contrasting with the red. I'm just going to go with a few very simple pages. I had green, wait for it, I had green paint left, so I put down a nice wash of green paint here. So it's very black outside, but I thought I've got a good opportunity here to do a little bit of filming. And I did put down some extra things on here this morning. I'll take that one away. And if I grab the mount, I'm quite happy with how that's coming along. I'll spend some time tomorrow on the other piece, as well as working with my sketchbook. It's exciting, it's nice to get the old bits of collage paper out that I haven't seen for a while and start just playing with those. I have had a couple of messages, so I've dug them out. I've had a couple of people now message about putting my hands in the paint and that it's not a good idea. And it's not a good idea, so I don't want to promote that. I have got these gloves. I need to get, I think it would be better if I get size extra small or something, because I really want to feel what I'm doing. And I always forget them. I could keep them in my apron, that might help. And it's irresponsible of me to show you me putting my hands in the paint. It's not the best idea. So please, if you've got gloves, use your gloves, or sometimes I will use an old glove. I ball it up and I will use that to manoeuvre paint around. If you've been following, you know I'm impatient and I just get carried away. So I thought I should just mention that, and I will try my hardest not to put my hands in the paint anymore. More to go on my two pieces this week. My feeling with this is this might be the garden path, and I could put in some florals here. Sometimes just one, you don't need heaps of collage, you might just need the odd piece to get a page started up. Okay, that's it for my night filming. Here we are then. I have this morning tweaked around. I've got the other half in a frame. I'll drop a photo in. And on this, I did have a faint line of these florals, dried flowers. They were showing up behind the glaze. And I thought this morning, I'll ask the question, what if I go with that, if I make them bold? So that's what I've put down this morning. I'm not sure. So when I'm not sure, I'll stop looking at this, put it somewhere else, and then maybe in 2 days get it back out and see it with fresh eyes to make a decision. I've really had a bit of fun this morning in Sketchbook. These pages are very wet. The paper's holding up quite nicely, and I've just had a play around. I don't know what I'm doing. Its shape, if you remember last night, was something garden path. I'll just see where that might like to go. It might be the case that I stop there. Again, leave it for a few days and then come back in and decide more collage or more paint or some pen. So I'm feeling good. I've got the new sketchbook underway, which is great. I think I'm going to cut here for this mount. Before I do that, because it's tricky photographing the work behind glass, I'll take a photograph. I'll do that. I'll take a photograph of this before I put it in the frame. On the sketchbook page, I got the page so wet that some of my collage started to lift, and I do quite like pulling up what I've put down. So I've got a really muddy old mess here. This came up and I could put some of this back down. My feeling also is that this, how can I say, what have I got? This lends itself to being something there, and maybe there. That might be an idea for a painting. The other thing you can do to adjust what you're working on is use your phone to crop. And you can play with the filters. I'll show the black and white, I quite like that. I've added in a little bit more on here. I just wanted some finer lines because I've got thickish bands of colour. When that's dry, I'll have that in the frame. So I'm really pleased with my bonus A1 sheet making 2 paintings. This one has been sitting on the kitchen table for the longest time. And I've got to put some gloss on there, and I finally feel that I'm at the finishing point. I'm going to talk next week more about how you know when you're finished, how I know when I'm finished. And I'm super grateful for some more suggestions that came in on tulips. And I'm looking at it over there and I'm going to save it. It's in a frame and it's changed. And I'll save that for next week too. As well, next week, I've got more bonus material. So I'll share that with you, something different. And I'm going to end with signs of spring. I took some photos while we were out walking yesterday, and it's raining again today. We seem to get one bright day and then a few gloomy ones, but spring's coming. So wherever you are, all around the world, have a great creative week, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.